test recording, please. Do a short one and check it.
I did. I already did. Like when I was just doing that, I started
Do
the.
another one. Do another one.
It's fine, okay? We're gonna be fine. Just relax. G'day, people of the NPL. It is TheVerd back with you again. Welcome to round 2 of week 7 power rankings. You won't have realized it, but we recorded an entire power rankings video initially, only for me to find out that my computer had accidentally made my inbuilt speakers the default microphone, not microphone, the default playback device.
System audio.
Instead of my headphones, which were the main thing I was hearing Jolt's illustrious voice out of, which means we have to completely do our power rankings recording again. So joining me once again is Jolt.
How's it going, guys? I am happy to be doing this a second time and talking for 40 minutes.
You're really not. This man is mad.
It's fine. I'm still happy to be here. It's a fun thing to do.
It might be a bit of a quicker one we're going to go through here, guys, because we've already pretty much discussed all our points, so it's going to be pretty succinct, but we're going to be pretty clear with how we feel a lot of the teams are going. And one thing you'll find as well, guys, is we have a lot of teams in pretty much the same spots. I think we only have 4 teams that are in different spots out of the 16, which is ridiculous. But without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling. We have the exact same bottom 4. Not really much to say for the Lipards and Sunflora. They still haven't been able to net a win. The METANGS, Carney wasn't able to get the result over Gypsy, although it was unfortunate because that crit really did matter and it could have... I mean, it just depends on if the Terrakion from there could have killed the Metagross with the close combat, I suppose, is the debate there. But I definitely feel like Carney played very well with the team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what my former Power Rankings analyst, Parker, can do with the team now taking over for Razor.
Yeah, that was definitely the game between New York and Sydney was a nail-biter to the very end, and it would have been interesting to see what happened without the critical hit from Bullet Punch, but Sydney did pull it out, and unfortunately New York is kind of stuck there at the 10 slot. And just a note on Detroit and the Phoenix Sunfloras, both of them are very, very capable battlers. They're very competent battlers. They are capable of knocking off anybody in the league at any point. They have just not been able to have too much success this season. I speculate that it's due to maybe under preparation, maybe focusing more on other leagues. But I'm hopeful that they'll be able to pick up those first wins here soon, because I don't want to see anybody go winless in this league. That's not fun at all. Yep. So hopefully they can pull up some wins pretty soon.
For sure. Now moving on to the 13th team. Now we have Jolt and I made this clear, and we explained it the first time we recorded this. The teams from 3rd to 13th are incredibly close, so don't take it too hard to heart if we have you a bit lower than you feel that you are, because it is so close in this area that literally, next week, if half these teams won and lost, the rankings would change like exponentially. So don't read into these rankings too much, because we feel that you're all extremely close in the spots you are, and our reasons for having you lower or higher are pretty petty, but you know what? You're gonna have to deal with it. So finishing out the bottom 4, we have the Los Angeles Nido-Kings. Obviously, Dancer did get a win, which was really solid. I just feel it wasn't as big a win as some of the teams above him had, and he still is 3-4, so definitely some bouncing back needs to be done. But I think if he can get back that form that he had when he beat Cloud in round 2, and the form that he's kind of had battling recently, I'm hoping it can lead to him getting some more results.
Yeah, if he maintains the same consistency that he currently has, and that he's making mainly the right plays. I think every now and then he makes potentially a misplay, but he makes, for the most part, the correct plays. His prep is above average, I would say, in the league. He has the potential to do well this season, most definitely, and it really shows with his positive differential, despite the fact that he's 3-4 right now. Like, he definitely can play with everyone, and it'll just be interesting to see how he does against some of the other players, especially whenever the second round of divisional matches comes, as, that really determines a lot in terms of playoffs. So, I guess we'll see how he does.
Yeah, so that already smashed out of the way is the bottom 4. There's not really much to say. They're all just currently, I guess you can't really count Dancer, but definitely the bottom 3 are very underperforming, and we're hoping to see better from them. But moving up to the next group of 4, 2 teams that we kind of have around different ways are the Jersey Devils and the San Antonio Swamperts. Obviously the Swamperts, it was, I think the first win, or no, it was the second win, I think, for Daniki. And it was a really solid, like, obviously Trev misplayed every now and then, but I still think it's a really solid and very important win for the Swampert to get them back on a kind of positive track. I think that's 2 wins in a row as well, which is really good for them. I'm hoping they can keep this momentum going, and although I really do like the Dwebbles, and I love that they did that change from Mega T-Tar to Mega Aero, I just feel that the way that he played was phenomenal. I just feel the Swamperts were still stronger, and I had the Swamperts initially above the Dwebbles, and the Dwebbles didn't do enough in their win to make me put them higher than the Swamperts. But obviously you had them around the other way, so you clearly see it differently.
Yeah, so the reason I have San Antonio below Jersey is that I feel like San Antonio more so won the game due to Trev's error than to Danicki's spectacular play. Danicki played well. I'm not going to take that away from him at all, but I do believe that Trev was in a position to win the game if he did not make certain plays later in the game. Some people would call that a choke. I call that a choke, and I think Trev probably should have won that game, but it did end up being a pretty convincing victory for the San Antonio Swampers due to that misplay. But I'm not taking anything away from Danicki there, just more so that it would have been a more impressive victory if Trev did not make that misplay. And then in terms of having Jersey up at number 11, kind of like you said, I really do like him having Mega Aerodactyl instead of Mega Tyranitar. And anytime you pick up a win against Cheese Boy, it's really, really impressive because Cheese plays so well against good competition. I know this firsthand from my many times I've had to play him in the past couple seasons. He plays very good against strong players. And Cloud made this one play in the game that really stands out to me. And that's when he stayed in against a potential Will-O-Wisping Sableye with his Mega Aerodactyl, clicking Stone Edge, predicting the switch into something else. Anything else on Cheese's team would die from a Stone Edge. So that play, and it worked, by the way, that play was very, very good. And in power rankings, I like to more look at the coach who looks the hottest at the moment, and that was a pretty hot play, I have to say. And so I'm going to have to put Jersey up at number 11 because of that.
That's totally fine. Moving into the final 2 spots of the bottom 8, we have the Boston BIDOOFS and the Austin Taurus. BIDOOFS coming off a loss, which was kind of unfortunate. I feel they're a bit too inconsistent to put them any higher, but I'm hoping if they can net some wins together like they did earlier in the season, we can see them back in that top 8, but for right now, they're just not there for me. And the Tauros, although they got a really solid win, again, same situation as the Swamperts, it's not their main coach doing it, and I'd rather prefer seeing Rob get these wins to build his confidence back up so he can get better results, because we both know Rob is a good enough battler to be able to do this. It's just, I don't know, it's just, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. I have Bidoof down at number 10, mainly because his team is kind of underwhelming to me. It's more his prep that has been carrying him through, and I really don't see him making playoffs, despite the fact that his prep has been so good. I just think he's going to struggle in the second round of divisional matches because his team isn't really capable of it doesn't really have the versatility that a lot of the teams above him do. So due to that, I have to have him in the bottom 8, and I have him below the Austin Tauros just because of how much I really do like the Austin Tauros' draft. That sticky web balance / offense has really put it in work these past couple weeks under the control of Rob's assistant coach. I believe Aster is his name. And he's been doing really well these past couple weeks. But kind of like you said, I want to see Rob do well with that team before I can confidently put him in the spot of in the playoffs, essentially, and being the top 8. These are the top 8 of the teams I think are going to make the playoffs, and he's just outside that right now.
Yeah, and already, guys, less than 10 minutes into this recording, we have smashed through half of the teams, because the thing is, they're very similar. And Jolt and I feel the same way about a lot of these teams. And I think coming up a little bit further, we're going to discuss these teams a bit more because this is now getting into the real serious end of the competition. So at 8 and 7, we both have the Phoenix Sunkern and Brisbane Braylooms just in different positions. I just feel that the Sunkerns have been doing pretty darn well so far, but I just feel like the Braylooms, although they lost to Togue, it was easily game of the week, and I think that with the run that the Braylooms have had, they've had the toughest run out of any team in the league so far, and to have such a decent differential and score to their name right now, I think they can definitely make a good solid charge to the back end of the season. I think Aberforth has the right team now to be able to get that done, but why do you have them around the other way?
It's nothing really against Aberforth in this case. It's more in favor of Cheese in that I have been able to witness just how well Cheese plays against high-level competition throughout the season. And really he only lost to Jersey this week because of one over prediction on his end. And I don't necessarily think it was the best play, but in general, Cheese gets those predictions correct. And whenever you're getting those really ballsy predictions correct against the tougher competition in the league, you're going to do well. And with that said, Brisbane hasn't really made as many spectacular predictions like that. And, that's why I kind of have to have them a little bit lower, partially. But also, I just don't really see Brisbane having as much success late season as I could see Phoenix having in the playoffs, for example, in that I do believe that Phoenix's battling ability in pressure situations is what really lets him stand out against the likes of Brisbane. But, not to discredit Brisbane at all. He's had a really tough schedule so far, like you said. And I feel like he very easily could position himself ahead of Phoenix if he just continues to win.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they're very close regardless of results and whatnot. But next up, finishing off the last two teams just before we get to the top four, we have the Atlanta Braviaries and the Florida FERALIGATRS. Both teams did get rolled this week. Obviously, the Gators got absolutely destroyed by some guy who used a Salisbury Belly Drum Darmanitan. I don't know who it was, but
Such a bad set. Who would do that?
yeah, it's so trash, and somehow got 6 kills. But Trev, I think, is more... So, I couldn't really put the Gators down, because, yeah, you get swept, it happens, but I still feel the way that Top Tier Boy has been playing so far with the team has been phenomenal. I definitely think he's the most underrated battler on this list right now, and I definitely feel like they are playoff contenders for sure. And when it comes to Trev, though, like you said, his team is very, very good, but he has been making a lot of misplays with it lately, and I feel just like... I don't know. I feel like he could be definitely playing a lot better with this team, and I mean, he's obviously probably going to find themselves in the playoffs picture. He always seems to every season, so I don't know. I just want to see more from him though before I put him into the top 4, because this result this week, obviously losing to the Swamperts from his own just bad misplays, wasn't great, and if he keeps that up, then he's just going to find himself plummeting further down the rankings.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with Top Tier Boy's play throughout the season, and that's why I have them as high as I have him at number 6. I think his weakness is his prep, in that his prep isn't bad, but I do believe it is a step below all 5 of the teams above him, and maybe even some of the teams below him at this point, in that he has this tendency, this very, very bad habit, in my opinion, to pretty much solely predict sets. Pardon my phone. Just crop that out. He has this really bad tendency to mainly predict sets that would be seen commonly on the Smogon ladder. For example, just going to bring up my set against him, the Darmanitan set this week, in that he probably expected Choice Scarf or Choice Band, turned out to be Belly Drum, and did a lot of work to his team. And, that's not something he even considered in his preparation, and that's something that you really do need to consider due to the fact that Darmanitan really can sweep your team if it gets off a belly drum. It's a set that's definitely possible to be seen in a format as diverse as draft format. So I really do think he needs to step up that aspect of his prep. He needs to prepare for a variety of potential sets from all of his opponent's mons, and maybe look into their move pools a little bit more. As I know in his commentary this week, he did state that there were a couple moves that he used, I believe even Hypnosis on Bronzong, that he didn't know was a possibility, and that's something that you really need to be aware of, as sleep is a pretty devastating status if you connect the Hypnosis. So that's my biggest beef with Florida, but that's really the only negative I have to him. His team is very, very solid. I think it might be a little bit passive in certain areas, but the way he's used it has been it's been phenomenal this season, honestly. And if he could just step up that pre-game, that preparation a little bit more, I think he could find himself a little bit higher in the rankings. But Atlanta at number 5, just slightly above him. I think Atlanta has more potential in terms of postseason success, as in the postseason, that's when the really crazy sets start to come out. And I think that's where Florida might struggle, especially if they are only putting in the amount of time into their prep that they currently are. And we already know that Trev has plenty of history of success in the playoffs, 2 straight championships. And, I really don't think it'll change to the point where, he's not even in the playoffs. I think he's going to make the playoffs. I think he'll win at least one game in the playoffs. And I feel like he's going to run into a buzzsaw in St. Louis before he gets to the championship. But, he has hit of late season success, and I don't expect that to change. And I really can't have him lower than number 5 because of how consistent he truly is, despite the fact that he lost this week on a pretty bad misplay against San Antonio. I really see him finishing in the top 5 at the end of the season.
Yeah, no. You can't really count him out just off a couple of bad results, to be fair. But moving on now to the top 4 that we have. It hasn't really changed for a while, but I feel like the change could be coming soon because Arizona just barely scraped through against the Brisbane Braylons. It was easily match of the week. Toge's comeback was phenomenal. That's why I have him above you. Is that both of you were battling very well, but that just the way that he played that one. Sure, you got a huge, big differential win, but the way that he played in a match that is more fitting to kind of like playoff style, which is what we're expecting from Toge coming the end of the season, I think it was definitely a good sign to see that although he was down, he was able to do the exact plays that he needed to get himself back into the game and to get the result. But obviously, you're not gonna talk about it yourself. I think the changes you made to your team have been phenomenal, and obviously the Manatee sweep was great, and you've been solidly consistent the last few weeks. Obviously, haven't seen your Week 6 match, I believe. It hasn't been played yet, so it'll be played at a later date. So I couldn't really put you higher than yet, also because with Toge winning, I think he's still 1 win ahead of you. So there's also that factor.
Yeah, he's 5-2. I'm 4-2. So. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Arizona really made pretty much all the right plays in the game against Brisbane. I think Brisbane was just kind of outplaying him a little bit during the mid game, and that's why he found himself in the position that he was in, maybe those last 5 to 10 turns or so. But he made all the correct plays that he had to give him even the smallest chance to win that game. It turned out to be a 1 in 16 chance to win the game, and he made the right plays to get himself in that position, and then he got the 1 in 16. So, props to him for making the right plays that put him in the position to win, as that's what a champion does. And, that's why he has to be really in the top 3 here, because he's playing like a champion overall, despite the fact that he has those, I believe, 2 losses so far. Both of those were very close losses. One of them, I believe, was Haxie, and I don't remember the other one as well. But, he can compete with Sydney. He can compete with St. Louis. He can compete with me, obviously. He beat me. So he's right there in the playoff hunt, in the championship hunt. Air balloon is a thing. Trying to ignore it, but now I can't. But, he's been playing well this season, and, I'm excited to see how he finishes out.
Yeah, and obviously, guys, as it has been, for me, it feels like since the dawn of time, the top 2, well, the top team has been the same for me since I did pre-matches power rankings, like week 0 power rankings. It has been that way for me the entire time, which is obviously having the St. Louis Rams as the top team and having the Sydney Stampeders at second. And for once, guys, I actually have somebody on here who agrees with me. Big reason why I think, though, and the reason why I feel like there is now not really a gap, but a definitive reason why St. Louis are a bit ahead is because when it comes to a lot of Gypsy's battles, I feel some of them have been slightly hacksy. I don't know if they would have fully altered the result that would have happened, but it's still a big factor. Whereas with Maddie, he has won all of his battles legitimately. There hasn't really been any hacks. It's just been making the right plays at the right times, and it's just been really solid from him. And I think Gypsy is battling phenomenally well, hence why he is second. But there is nothing really that I have seen to say that he is any better than Maddie, and so Maddie still stays number 1 for me. I don't think he's going to be moving from that spot anytime soon.
Yes, kind of like you said, Sydney has been playing very, very well this season. Their prep really is what stands out to me, in that his prep wins games. Not that he's he's a good battler. I'm not going to deny that. He's potentially the best battler in the league. I would argue second best. But his prep is what really stands out. It makes him really a lock to win essentially most games. I would be stupid to vote against him, like in our predictions thing. I'd be stupid to vote against him in any matchup except maybe against St. Louis. I do not know who I'll pick in that one yet. But he can beat anybody. He can play with anybody. He can really crush anyone who's really low on the power rankings because he's just that good of at preparation. So having him at number 2 is really no surprise. But I have him below St. Louis just because of, like you said, how dominating really St. Louis has been throughout the season, in terms of, I believe, only having one game that was remotely close, and that was against the powerhouse Atlanta team a couple weeks ago. So St. Louis's prep and battling has been perfect really this season. I can't really say anything else. Like, I haven't seen one instance of mispreparation on his part. I haven't seen more than maybe 1 or 2 potential misplays, but none of them ended up costing him a game. So I'd be dumb not to have St. Louis at number 1 in these power rankings, just because of how essentially perfectly they have performed this season so far, plus the fact that I think their draft alone is inherently stronger than Sydney's. So I think I think St. Louis will win the title this season. That's my bold prediction.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to point out, though, there was the close battle between St. Louis and Brisbane in the opening round.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
To, being able to trap the Bronzong with the
WinCon was definitely something that Maddie was preparing for that entire game, right? Like he was just waiting to trap the Bronzong so the Gardevoir could win. So it's not like it wasn't. It's not like it was a nail biter per se. If he's already identifying the WinCon and knows that he can definitely win, so that's just something that's a little bit different than perhaps with Gypsy's case, where he literally had to get a critical hit to win the game this past week. So it's a little bit different. The Metagross was at about 50% approximately interact with a full.
I can't remember how much health the Metagross was at, if it mattered or not, but it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like surely a Terrakion close combat's to be enough to kill that there. Or even like an Earthquake. But that's going to be up for discussion. I'm sure Gypsy will probably post something in the comments talking about it. But anyway, that is going to do it for us, guys. Second time's the charm.
Now it's my third time.
But thank you for joining me.
It felt a lot more polished this time.
Empowering. Well, third time technically, but second time. Well, now it's your third time. And you'll probably never do it again. You'll probably never do it again because of this. But thank you again for joining me. Obviously, his channel and all the other coaches' channels will be in the description, as well as just checking out more of the NPL stuff. Obviously, this is not the only series the NPL does. You need to go check out all of them on the channel, so you need to go subscribe to do that. Also, thumbs up the video because we appreciate support, and comment down below about which coach you would like me to have joining myself for next week, because I'm more than happy talking with any of these coaches. The banter is real. I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's nice getting not only the analyst's opinion or scrutiny and whatnot, but also getting the coach's opinion.
No, I think I'm good. I hope you recorded this time.
So, once again, thank you, Jolt. Anything you'd like to say before we finish this up? So do I. Anyway, guys, that was going to do it for us. I am TheVerd, and that was Jolt, and we out of here. We'll catch you next week.